Sorry for the trouble. Sorry for the trouble.
Oh, it's no big deal. There's things that are out of our control, I guess. So yeah. Yeah, how's it going? I guess, where are you in Taiwan?
I'm at Taipei.
Oh, Taipei. Okay. Good place, man. I wish I could be there right now. So.
No, you don't want to be there. We're still in lockdown, man.
That's true. Yeah, lockdowns and everything.
Couldn't get a haircut. Couldn't get a haircut.
Oh yeah, you need a new haircut. Okay, yeah, it's gonna take a while until you finally can go out and get one. Sounds like.
Yeah.
So.
How's everything over there?
It's pretty good. It's pretty busy right now. We're getting, we've got national games happening in 2.5 months, so we're making sure everything is fine tuned for that and everything. So, yeah, getting busy, but also, still have time until the important games come up and everything. So, yeah.
Good.
Yeah, we're not in lockdown, thankfully. It's pretty open here in Beijing, so at least we got that going for us.
Did they close the city last year or no?
Last year, I mean, for a little bit, but not for too long. They got over. They controlled it pretty well here. And Beijing being the capital city, they don't play around with anything around here. If I want to go back to America and come back over here, I have to quarantine for 3 weeks. And so, yeah. So there is no easy way to get through around here, I would say.
Yeah.
So yeah.
The other day I talked with Kyle.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know Kyle?
Oh yeah. I saw that one. Yep.
Yeah. And he was like, in New York, it's like going crazy right now.
Oh,
it's
New
getting
York,
worse.
Really?
Yeah, he says it's getting worse.
Oh man, I don't. Aside from the beginning, when things are really crazy here, ever since then, I haven't really dealt with any issues with knowing if the person next to me has the COVID or not. So, fortunately for me, I haven't had to deal with that, and I haven't not been able to go back home. So, I've kind of escaped a lot of things, fortunately. So, yeah.
Did you guys get vaccinated?
I'm trying not to get it, but I think I'm gonna have to get it for my work if I want to keep working here. So unfortunately, I have to. I really don't want to, but I think I'm gonna have to at some point. It's kind of a personal decision to make. I'm not against getting it. I just rather put it off as long as I can. Whether it's the American one or the Chinese one, doesn't really matter to me. I just don't want to. I just want to put it off, as long as I can, I would say. So
okay.
Yeah.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay. So, Kyle, can you introduce yourself for the coaches in Taiwan?
Okay, so I have been working professionally as a strength coach for about, 8 or 9 years or so. But I've been working as a coach, started when I was 18 years old at my university. And so I've been coaching for about 11 or 12 years now, but professionally about 8 years. And so started off as an athlete. I love sports. I love training myself. So that's why I wanted to get into training athletes. It was the best thing I could do. If I knew I was not going to make it as an athlete. So therefore I wanted to get involved in training others, and training everyday people is what I started off doing in college. I realized I wanted to train people that are a little more serious at some point, and so that's why I wanted to study how athletes train, and that's why I decided to get my master's degree at East Tennessee State University under Dr. Mike Stone and Meg Stone, and then from there they kind of taught me the ways on how to prepare the athlete physically for competition, off season, in season planning, it's things that are really popular over there in Taiwan with Mark Chung, about and everything. I'm pretty sure you've heard. Everything about ETSU over there.
Yeah.
And as I was finishing up my internships at as I was finishing up my time at ETSU, I did 2 internships. Fortunately, I was able to get in with Exos at Google headquarters, working with general population. But then after that, I got an internship at Michael Johnson Performance in Dallas, Texas. And those 2 internships really prepared me for the real life scenarios that we face as coaches in training. And then after that, I moved my first job at a college. I moved to Taiwan in Taichung City, was there for 3 years training, tennis players, baseball players. And then after that, I spent 1 year training the Chinese table tennis team. And then I came back to Taiwan for about 8 months until, worked for a private company, Peak Force over there, until finally I got my first big job in China, working for Beijing Shogun women's basketball team over there. So I've been a lot of different places, and every place that I've been has been really different from each other. And each place has taught me a lot of things that, that were totally necessary to get me to where I am here today, I would say. So,
cool.
Yeah, man. So yeah, I miss Taiwan the most out of all those places, I would say.
Oh, thanks, man.
Mm-hmm.
So the first job was in Taiwan.
Oh yes, I was working for
cool,
a Hope Tennis Academy. Yeah, I was there in Taichung.
That's cool.
Yeah,
I heard your names when you were in Taiwan, but never really get in contact with you.
Oh man, well, when I come back, we'll have to go hang out. We have to hang out.
Okay.
I miss it. I miss it too much. After the lockdown. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
for sure.
So you said you've been interning in Exos and Michael Johnson Performance.
Yes.
Yeah. Did when you were in MJP, did you get the chance to train like pro athletes, like those who's gonna prepare for their NFL draft? Or
yeah, so that was my first opportunity to ever see with my own eyes how these elite level athletes that with amazing genetics, these NFL players going from college to the NFL, seeing like what kind of training that they respond to, how what their attitude is like towards training. It was a very fortunate experience. They came in at MJP, and they spent about 10 weeks there before, for their tryouts for the NFL scouting combine before they entered the NFL. And, it was a very unique opportunity that I got to see the whole picture of how a high performance program is put together, from the nutrition side of things to training twice a day, the skill development of not only American football, but the skill of passing the combine test, the 40-yard dash, the pro agility shuttle, how all these things have to be very well tuned, knowing how many steps you got to take in the first 10 yards of a 40-yard dash, knowing how many steps you've got to take on a pro agility shuttle. It may not relate to the sports, but it teaches you a lot of discipline of paying attention to detail, the fine details of things on how to improve, as an athlete. That will carry over in some points with for an athlete's career, I would say. And so
that was cool,
yeah.
man.
Oh yeah, one of those athletes just said what's up on here. Lyndon Trail here.
He's the athlete in.
Oh yeah, he's on here. I'm just gonna reply this real quick here.
It's okay.
Oh yeah, sure. Okay, yeah. Go ahead. Sorry, yeah. That was my first exposure to that. Seeing these guys come from college, probably not doing anything for a month, and seeing their body composition change, gaining muscle, losing fat at the same time, what was unreal, I would say. I remember seeing them, put on 20 pounds of, 20 pounds or so of I'm not sure if it's lean muscle tissue, but they put on 20 pounds and they get faster. What was quite amazing.
That's crazy.
Every meal was, calculated by one of the coaches there. And, every training session was well planned. It taught me a lot as far as every time I go into a training session, I've got to have a plan. I've got to have objectives. You can't just wing it. You can't just free ball it like a lot of other coaches do out there. And so, let me see here. Yeah, as far as that goes, and as well as, just some good, unique tips that I picked up from Michael Johnson when we were there. They had a unique start on the 40-yard dash. They taught all the players and everything. It was really cool to see those kind of things. So
the framework of Michael Johnson is kind of the same with Exos, right?
Okay, yeah, that's a good question. I did my Exos internship first. I spent 12 weeks in Mountain View, California. Yes, I didn't train athletes, but I trained, just everyday people there. And by the time I got to MJP, I realized it's the same, kind of weight room setup of, Michael Boyle, Mark Verstegen kind of set up. Okay, upper push, lower pull, and then lower push, upper pull, and there's always some kind of rotary stability, chops, lifts involved with both of those too. And so that taught me right away that these coaches that have a lot of experience, they found out this is kind of the best way to do it in the private sector, for that matter. And one thing that I realized with Exos was, okay, we have this basic programming we're using with everyday people. That basic programming wouldn't work sometimes. Teaching somebody who's not an athlete to do a single leg Romanian deadlift, doesn't go well most of the time. And so you've got to be quick to plan B, plan C, plan D with that person. You've got to regress. You've got to progress. As a good coach, very, very quickly, for that matter, and everything. So, but then going to MJP, I see the same programming, program setup and everything, and those athletes do it with no problem, just about. So, yeah.
Okay, so how long have you been in Beijing, like training the basketball team?
Okay, so I've been in Beijing. So I've been with this basketball team for 1 year and 5 months or so, actually. Yeah, 1 year, 5 months, I would say. Yeah.
So it's basically like a whole season, and you're gonna go with a new one, right?
Actually, it has been 2 seasons, and I'm going to my 3rd season actually right now. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Oh yeah, it's okay.
So, yeah.
Oh yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
So can you tell a little about the in-season and off-season training look like? How does a program, like a session, look like during the in-season and off-season?
Okay, that's a good question. And before coming into this job, there's a lot of things that I did not expect, actually. How I was taught at ETSU, at MJP, at Exos on how to train athletes. A lot of things I had to compromise with. When I first came in, I wanted to do jump testing. I want to do squat jump. I want to do counter movement jump. I want to have some parameters and everything. But then right away, some of the older players told me, we don't jump around here. We don't do that. I'm not going to do that. And so, but I quickly realized, okay, you've got to listen to the athletes. And training women's basketball, they jump all day. I'm not sure, honestly, what these tests are going to tell them. Yes, it could give you a fatigue management, indicator of some sort. But, at that time when I first took on the job, I did not have time to, to convince them to buy into this whole monitoring process. The coach wasn't really interested in hearing me. So I said, screw that, basically. And as far as the in-season training goes, off-season training, these players in Asia or in China, they go through a lot more games than players in the United States go through. They go through, playing basketball in China, there's a lot more contact. There's a lot more physical contact. There's a lot of times in season, I have to react to a lot of things. Okay. The contact causes, issues with some days they can't do squats. Some days they can't bend. The Chinese doctors tell them that they can't move. They shouldn't move sometimes. I think it's stupid that they shouldn't move, but I have to listen to a lot of things, no matter what. So all this experience that I had as a coach before, working at Exos, working at MJP, knowing how to plan B, plan C was very important in taking this job here. As far as in season goes, mainly just focus on movements. If I can get a mid-thigh pull in a quarter squat or a half squat of some sort, a bench press in, just very low volume, 3 sets of 3, 70 to 85%, fluctuating throughout the season. I'm lucky if I can get that in once a week. But aside from that, we're always traveling. We're always, on the roads. A lot of times I'll just do body weight exercises, split squats, isometrics, while we're in the hotels, other places. So that's usually how the in-season goes, I would say. Yeah. So, but then, one thing that one opportunity that I have is with the younger players, they don't get as much playing time. So that's an opportunity for me to progress them on doing, more advanced exercises.
Yeah.
I can load them heavily. I can put them on, higher stressful exercises and everything. When we travel, I can have them do, body weight progressions, progress them, from doing push-ups with the feet on the floor to push-ups doing the feet on a bench, just for an example. That's an opportunity for me to, put as much stress as I can on those players. And so, but yeah, for the older players, the veteran players with a lot of playing time, there's a lot of reacting. It's hard to predict what the session's going to be like that day. So, yeah.
Yeah. So you mentioned that at the beginning, you aren't going to be able to like get the test or like any data, right?
Yeah, pretty much. It's such a new concept here in China.
So you didn't get in like any tests or any data. How do you program the training?
How do I program? That's a tough part. Yes, I agree. I might be, throwing darts in the dark just about with a lot of things. It's a very political system here. Like the coach decides everything. If he lets the players have full reign on whether or not they can do it. I can do it with some of the younger players. That's kind of where I get most of my practical experience from. But the older players, if they say no, I can't do anything about it. Although, there are certain things that sometimes I'm able to use the push band. I'm able to use velocity-based training. I can do it with certain exercises, and I can monitor that if they let me, some from time to time. So I can kind of compare once every month, once every few months with certain things. My job situation is not like a lot of other people's, I would say, though. So, China is still, this team here is actually still kind of a little bit farther behind. They don't really know the concept of monitoring and testing.
No, I think it's kind of same here. I think it's kind of same in Taiwan.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
In Taiwan, but you guys have such good education. You guys have so many resources over there, I guess. That's interesting.
When we're talking about like really like pro athlete or like professional like teams, that kind of stuff, it's kind of like the same.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So like the head coach kind of, dictates everything. Yeah, the head coach will tell you kind of what to do. Yeah. That's what it sounds like. Yeah.
Yeah. And you're not really being able to get those data.
Yeah. That's okay. Not every sprinter has access to electronic timing every session. Sometimes, you just have to go with, what your program is, what you have planned, stress, high stress, low stress, high stress, low stress. That's kind of the best thing you can do after a certain point. In the off season, I'm able to measure strength through their squats, through their pressing movements and everything. And so that kind of dictates. That's kind of where the best things I can tell. It's kind of the best indicators that I have actually. I would say it would be nice to have that, but good training has been around even before that though. So. Yeah.
So there's no way for you to do like really like periodization, right?
As far as like monitoring, no, but periodization off season when we're not in season, there's definitely a way. Right now I'm able to. We have 3 months, 2 more months until our national game starts. So yes, I've had an opportunity to do that. Younger girls, especially the girls that don't play as much, I'm able to put a high amount of stress on them. After a certain point, we're able to see, positive gains in body composition, positive gains in maximal strength and everything, about a 10%, gain on their squats, per year or so far. So, right now is that opportunity. But when the season comes, who knows what environment I'm going to be in. So. Last year we were in the bubble. We were stuck in a hotel and in Inner Mongolia actually. And so we don't know if we can use the weight room some days or not. So, what I do though is I usually have a plan. If I can't get onto a barbell squat, well, I have a barbell. I have a squatting movement in there. With something. With the plate, with something. I target the movements at the very least, have certain checkpoints, to go through and everything. So, yeah.
Yeah. So if you like, if it's like in season and you don't really get the chance to like maybe do some heavy lifting, quarter squat, that kind of stuff. So do you do like movement, meaning like shuffle, like lateral run, that kind of stuff?
Mainly just basic movements, I would say. You know, even unloaded movements, you know, isometrics for longer periods of time. Just something to stress the athletes. It may not be what, you know, it may not be perfect. It may not be, you know, the exact loading that you want. Maybe some of my players can do one-legged, you know, pistol squats. Some of my younger girls can. So, you know, I can progress that with some of the players that are able to do it, at least. So,
okay.
Yeah, pretty much. And you know, as far as periodization goes, yeah, like I said, when I first came into this job, I wanted to do a lot of jumping tests, but you know, the thing is though, is they're already jumping so much in their sport.
Yeah.
So what's the next, you know, highest demand of what these players have? It's dealing with physical contact. You know, in China, the league doesn't really call fouls as you know, as much as other leagues that I've seen. And watching basketball, college basketball in America it's a lot less than that. You know, you see in the WNBA, you barely you know hit the wrist and it's a foul. In China, it's a lot different. It's a lot more brutal. It's a lot more physical. So you know the main, you know, thing that we train for here is how to you know how to prepare themselves for the body contact. And you know, getting strong on two legs is probably the best way to do it, I would say here. So, you know, I mentioned jumping, you know, is not something that we do a whole lot of. You know, the thing is they already get a lot of that in their sports. So, you know, that's why we target a lot of, you know, we do a lot of Olympic lifting derivatives, such as, you know, clean pulls, you know, heavy snatch, you know, high pulls. That's the best, you know, they're not getting that in their sports. That's why we do that in the training in the off season and the in season, if we can, just about, I would say.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So you mentioned like there's a lot of body contact and more brutal than other leagues.
Yeah.
So how do you prepare for these things? Like let them like let them be stronger on the upper body, or is there anything you
yeah,
do?
So we do a lot of rotational, you know, core stiffness movements. You know, a lot, you know, heavy squats and front squats, back squats, front squats, Olympic lifting. Okay, when you do an Olympic lift, you know, the studies that Tim Sukumel came out with the Olympic lifting derivatives shows that when you catch a barbell and when you do an Olympic lifting, you know, clean pull landing with the barbell, you're absorbing just as much force, you know, with the pull as you are with the catch, if not more actually. So that's kind of what we rely on mostly. You know, we've got girls doing, you know, clean pulls from the knee with 100 kilograms or so. And, you know, and they buy into the best thing about it is they buy into it. They, you know, they see that this is important for their sport. That's why they want to learn the move. It's not easy to learn that movement the first time. And so
yeah,
that's why they pay attention to detail with learning this and eventually progress themselves on you know, on the Olympic lifts, you know, or so. And you know, and convincing them to do this was also a chore at the beginning as well. But, you know, at a certain point, they saw the benefits of it. And so, yeah, Olympic lifting derivatives, you know, rotate, you know, chops, lifts with heavy weight with the cables seem to help as well. I'd say those are the most important, I would say.
Good.
So, yeah. Overcoming isometrics too. You know, pushing against immovable objects is also seems to be a good idea. It seems to create a lot of buy-in, at least. So
good. So
yeah.
You also put some isometric work in the off season, right?
Off season, a little bit, not too much though. Yes, we do though. Yes.
Like max isometric or like?
Mainly just you know, 2-second pause at the bottom of a lift or so. or you know, doing a mid thigh pull with against the squat rack, just about, you know, for about 3 to 5 seconds or so, you know, repeating for about 3 reps or so in a set.
So it's like max intent, right?
Yeah, max intent. It's really hard to get these girls to, you know, to focus at 9 o'clock in the morning. But if you can get them to do that, then, you know, if you can get them started with that, if you don't see their face straining, that's when you know they're not, you know, they're not trying their best in a, you know, in an overcoming isometric mid thigh pull or so.
Okay.
So yeah, pretty much.
Okay, so you've been in the States, Taiwan, and China.
Yes.
So, like 3 different countries, and is there like any different? I mean, like not really cultural different, but like the way they approach the athlete or the way they train.
Okay, yeah. Well, I can go into a lot of details about China versus America.
Okay.
Well, America's closer to America and Taiwan are quite similar, but China, a lot of these players, it goes back to why they're even there. A lot of them didn't choose to be there. A lot of them, their parents kind of chose them to be there. You know, either they come from really rich families or really poor families, and is the reason why they're you know, they're a professional player, you know, right now just about. And the American athletes, you know, they want to be better. They actively look for the best way to, you know, go up for a rebound, or the best way to improve their shooting or their skills or so. The Chinese player, they wait for their coach to tell them, you know, what to do. It's a big difference. But I will say though that the players that cooperate really well here in China, they're super easy to work with, because they will follow exactly what you have planned, and you don't have to deal with so much, you know, I guess so many arguments. I guess so many people trying to question your training. At least they won't question you. At least in America, it's very possible that, you know, somebody could question your training, question your knowledge, I would say. But in China, they just follow along with, you know, with what the program goes and everything. So yeah, it's a very top down approach in China as opposed to USA, I would say. So okay. Yeah. Taiwan, I would say Taiwan, they listen to. I would say Taiwan is very similar to China in terms of just listening to the authority. I would say they do a lot better with that. I would say America, you know, very common for them to question the authority, question the coach, question the approach with things, because we're kind of taught to do that from an early age, I would say. Yeah.
Okay.
So.
Okay. So I know you've been learning from you get your master's degree in ETSU, right? Like, and you learn from Dr. Mike Stone and Meg Stone, right? So can you share a little bit thoughts about like periodization over there? Not really. And like the way they program training. Yeah.
Okay, so how it's done at ETSU is you know, way different than what I do here. I like ETSU's ideal way on how they program. Why they choose, you know, a lot of bilateral exercises. Okay, let me just name it off: back squat, push press, you know, split squats as a push day. A pull day could be mid thigh pull, clean pull from the knee. Could be Romanian deadlifts. It could push pull split, just about. You know, that works really well for the college athlete between 18 and 22 years old, who their body is fresh, their body hasn't really been exposed to too much, you know, their body's still young, hasn't really been exposed to too many injuries at that certain point. I would say that plays the biggest difference between, you know, my programming back then, what I learned from them, to what it is now. You know, right now with my job here, and my job since I left ETSU, was that I deal with a lot more injuries, having to train a lot around injuries, and also training a lot more people with resistance training experience. You know, being at ETSU, those athletes likely never did mid-thigh pull and Olympic lifting derivatives. You know, they never really did squats or deadlifts correctly, you know, for that matter. In my job right now, a lot of times they have done that before. So how do you keep them progressing once they are already strong? Well, one thing that I learned from Charles Poliquin before he died was strength training is like learning multiple languages. You know, each exercise, you need to consider it as learning a new language. When you do a back squat, it's completely different than learning how to do a Zercher squat with heavy weight, for that matter, getting as good as possible with that. Doing a clean a snatch high pull is a lot different than doing a snatch overhead.
Yeah.
The better you are at learning different languages through strength training, learning different exercises, which are languages, the better overall athlete you will be, and the less injured you will be. When I was younger, for my own training, for myself, I would do the same exercise for months at a time without any issues. But it wasn't until I started getting older, I realized I can't do back squats for 2 months in a row. I can't do, you know, these I want to get good at these exercises, but I have to change them every 3 to 6 workouts, because if you overload a certain pattern, that's when bad things happen. It seems like if you keep the program too similar for too long, that's when bad things can happen. And that's kind of what I have with my job right now, is a lot of these athletes, especially as they get older, they can't tolerate these loads. They can't tolerate, you know, certain levels of stress, especially with, you know, the amount of games that they play per season and the amount of, you know, contact they go through compared to a lot of other sports or so. That's definitely how I see the differences between what it was back then and what it is now, I would say. You know, in a perfect world, ETSU's program is a great program. I wish I could just do, you know, I wish I could just follow their program, you know, for the rest of my life. I wish I could, but man, there's too many problems that come with training. You know, when it comes to lack of facilities, you know, athletes' experience, and many other things. So yeah.
Okay, Cody was asking like,
oh, Cody, okay.
How does it relate to like early specialization in like maybe Asia? Is it like lack of multi-sport athletes?
I mean, yeah, that's a good question. That's a great point too. You know, that's definitely something that, like, you know, in Asia, I mean, China for sure. China, you know, you start playing one sport, or once after you're like 11 years old or so, you're stuck with that sport until you're done, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot different than what it was in the States. And I mean, Taiwan is also quite similar. Yeah. As China, right? Or I'm not sure. How is it in Taiwan? It's kind of like
it's kind of like the same in China.
Okay, it is. Yeah. So you kind of just stick to that one direction, and you know, it's, you know, I'm sure that I mean, I haven't studied this topic enough, but I'm sure that it causes, you know, staleness, injuries, possibly. You know, being exposed to the same pattern too often is never a good thing with strength training. It's probably not a good thing with you know, sport in general, I would say. Yeah. So I would think so. Yeah. That's a good question.
So do you like train them, like if you have the time? Let's say if you have the time, do you like train them differently? Maybe expose them to different kind of things.
Expose like things as far as like different sports, or
maybe like,
or just okay.
Yeah, maybe like different sports. Like do you like maybe like I did a thing with one of my athletes. He's playing basketball, and I let him do like football dribbling, like soccer.
I mean, yeah, it's, you know, in China that happens a lot, actually. In China, you know, what do they do whenever, you know, they have nothing but time to kill? They're stressed out from playing too much basketball. That happens all the time, where the coach will bring in a soccer ball and they play soccer on the basketball court instead of basketball. You know, it doesn't seem like a bad idea to me at all. Yes, it does seem like, you know, it might be a waste of time, when it's probably not, actually. you know, as far as training goes, you know, basketball is a lot of accelerations. It's a lot of jumping. You know, it's nice to get them out to the track or out to a soccer field every once in a while, have them go well beyond 28 meters of distance of running high velocity or something. It's something that they're not getting. It's kind of what I mentioned earlier. And I think that's quite important. So especially, you know, just dealing with the, you know, the psychology of the athletes, you know, getting them to, you know, I'm sure they're excited to do something new from time to time or so.
Okay.
Yeah.
And there's the other question. Yeah, there's the other question, like the audience asked, is like how to prepare our athlete to be like stronger for playing basketball.
For playing basketball, well, you know, same as any other sport or so. You know, once you improve your, you know, overall, okay, I guess what Charlie Francis would say was general, you know, organism strength. Once you improve your body's ability to produce more force, to, you know, produce that force a lot more rapidly, you know, that's going to carry over to the courts. You know, it's going to carry over, and you know, it's going to carry over even as they get older and as they get stronger from doing multiple different things. You know, medicine ball throws, sprints, you know, lifting maximal weights. Specific for basketball, though, I do think it is important to, you know, get them to do, you know, heavier stuff, you know, with rotation. Let me see here, you know, getting strong on one leg, you know, same as training every other athlete just about, you know, stronger at different knee angles, stronger at different, you know, yeah, exactly. You got to get strong at not only deep squats, but also quarter squats, you know, learning getting at different exercises for that matter. So, yeah. I'd like to think it's very similar between all sports.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay. So that can be my last question.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So can you tell if there's like coaches want to reach out to you, can you tell where can they find you?
Yeah, so they can always hit me up on Instagram here, you know, for that matter. They can always reach out to me on here, just send me a DM, or on Facebook. You know, my name's Kyle Uptmore, and they can just, you know, hit me up on those two platforms. And so whenever my VPN works here in China, at least. So, yeah.
So where's the future? Where, I mean, are you going to keep staying in China, or there's one day you're going to go back to the States?
That's a tough one, man. I debate that every day, just about. You know, I'm not able to go back home. You know, I haven't been able to go back home since January 2020. So, you know, next year is when my contract ends. So I got to decide whether or not, you know, hopefully things are better to where I can, you know, go back and forth between, you know, America and China. But who knows, I would say. It's really hard to tell what the future will be. I do think that this job will have to end someday, though. And I do think I will have to go my own way of, you know, starting my own business, you know, as far as, you know, training people back in the States to be closer to my family and everything. So, you know, that's probably what's going to happen in the distant future, I would say. Yeah.
Okay.
But I would hope I could come back to Taiwan at some point, though. So,
okay. Let me know you're in Taiwan. Okay.
Oh yeah. And I certainly will.
Okay. And if you're starting a business at the state, let me know. I'm gonna go visit you.
Oh yeah, please do. I will most likely be in Dallas, Texas. You know.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
You'll have to come out and visit and eat some good Texas barbecue with us.
It's okay.
So
love to.
Yeah. Taiwanese friends will always be welcome to my home in Texas. So
thanks,
Taiwanese are very welcoming to me over there in Taiwan. So yeah.
Thanks. Thank you for the time, man.
Oh, yes, you're welcome, Eric. It was great talk here and everything.
Okay.
Okay.
So
all right, I'll catch you next time. Okay.
The content is really good. I mean, the content is really good. So I'm gonna do another broadcast to translate these content to Chinese. Okay.
Oh, sure. Absolutely.
Thanks.
我下次我们一起说话说完。
Good. Thanks, man. Thanks.
I guess you didn't know I speak Chinese. Okay. All right. Cool.
I know I speak a little bit.
Speak a little bit. Okay. Cool. All right, Eric. Well, good chat, man. Okay. See you later.
Stay in contact. Okay.
Okay. Okay, all right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Okay. That's all for today. See you.